In this recording, we will cover the step-by-step calculation process of the pricing analysis tool, which is a tool developed by Microfinance Transparency, and it's one of 3 tools permitted to use for price calculation and submitting those prices to the data platform. This tool is the main one we recommend for use because it's designed for product-level pricing and at the same time offers a high level of accuracy. There's 2 types of sheets that need to be used in order to calculate prices. First, there's the setup page that we're on right now, and then there's also the product sheets. The setup page is for basic institutional information, whereas the product sheets are for product level information and actually where we will calculate the prices. I'll begin a short example now. And first we need to fill in the setup page. The way the tool is designed is it's only the white cells that are used to enter information. Here we will enter the name of the institution and then the country. And if your country is on the list, then the information will appear in the GNI per capita, you see here in the gray cell, also the lending currency symbol here, and the exchange rate as well. But there is a case that your country may not be on this list, and in that case, you'll see a note here. There's been notes added specifically for data platform participants to guide you a bit more through the process. And here it says if country is not on the list, in the override cells enter the GNI per capita, lending currency symbol, and exchange rate. Meaning here in this white cell you would enter what is the GNI per capita, and here entering the currency symbol and the exchange rate is down here. And also enter your name up here in the top right. Then we can proceed to the next section here, which is a list of the products within your institution. You'll select for each product what is the currency, what's the name of the product, the portfolio size, the number of clients. And then here in the far right, there's a cell called rank. And all this does is it determines the order of the products on these product sheets. And we would just suggest that the product with the largest portfolio you enter as rank 1. For this example, I'll enter 2 different products. And once you've entered the products for your institution, come down to this section, which is the last one before proceeding to the product sheets. And all we have to select here is whether we want to calculate prices or not for that product. Not priced or AutoCalc, which just refers to the calculation method. And you'll see a note here. This is a recommendation from the data platform that it's recommended to calculate APRs for the largest products by portfolio share until 70% of that portfolio of the total of the institution is reached. And after you've done this, additionally also calculate APRs for any product that has greater than a 50% client share. So that last part is just to factor in if there's a product, for example, a group product, that has a very large number of clients, but is not as large on the portfolio side, but still we would want to factor it into the pricing for the institution. And automatically the selection is AutoCalc for products, and that's what we want to do in this case for this example. And that's it for this sheet. We can move on to the product sheet, also called the scatter plot pricing sheet. Up here we see the product number, the name of the product as well. In this row, there's a helpful guidance about what is the next step in the process. And also in this row, there will be error messages and some explanations of how to fix common issues that may come up in the tool. If you feel that you're stuck in some way, it's a good idea to look up, and in most cases this is going to be telling you how to proceed to the next step. And this sheet is organized by steps. The first step is to input product design information. And again, we want to only enter into the white cells. These blue cells are for informational purposes, pulling some information from other sheets. The first entry is for the loan amount range. We want to enter what is the min loan size and what is the max as well. And for the loan term, in months, we enter the min and the max loan term. Then for repayment frequencies, we have a number of options to choose from here. And you just select the payment frequency for this product. The most common one in this cell. You can also select a next most common frequency, although we would recommend only to enter the next common option if it's an estimated greater than 25% of the portfolio. Otherwise, it's fine just to proceed with entering the most common frequency. Then we have a section on grace period, where first we answer what is the rough percentage of loans that have a grace period. In this case, let's say it's all loans for the product. And for the grace period, in months, we enter the average grace period. Option 1 and option 2, this is in the case that there are multiple common options for grace periods and you'd like to factor in 2 different options in the calculations. In this case, let's say it's 1 month for all loans. And then we select when does the grace occur. And now we can move on into the main pricing information or pricing components. First, entering the interest rate for the product, the min and the max. Then we select the interest type. Is it a declining balance, meaning that interest is only calculated on the outstanding principal for each payment? Or is it a flat basis, the same rate calculated on the dispersed loan amount for each period? Or is interest up front? Let's say it's flat in this case. And how are the principal payments organized? There's a number of options here that you can select from. And then how are the interest payments organized as well? In most cases, those are going to be paid in period installments. Then we move on to fees. When we talk about which types of fees to enter, there's a note that's been entered here. Any fee paid to receive or maintain the loan, regardless if the fee is paid directly to a third party or to the institution, and regardless if the fee is income for the institution or not. And there's some more details you can read through there. But in general, if it's a fee that a client needs to pay in order to receive the loan, then it's included here. And these fees are split by either a disbursement fee, meaning it's paid on an upfront basis as the loan is being taken, or is it a continuing or ongoing fee? Then the fees are also split by either a percentage methodology or a fixed amount basis. In this case, let's say we have a disbursement fee, which is the same for every client. Min and max is the same. And we need to enter the name of the fee in this cell. Let's also say we have an ongoing fee of 1%. For fees which are under a percentage basis and an ongoing basis, there are a number of different options to select from here. And choose these carefully because they do substantially impact the APR results. So look through those and decide which is the correct one for you. Let's say this one is a percentage of the principal payment each period. And let's call that the monitoring fee. Fees can also be entered in a fixed amount basis. So let's say if each month there's a fee, you could enter it like this. Actually, since it's a separate fee as that first one, we should enter it in this row down here. And for those types of fees, we select, is it per month or per payment, which will be the same in the case of a monthly payment. Then we have the insurance component. And for insurance, we should include any insurance fee which is required to receive the loan, regardless if the fee is paid directly to the insurance company or through the institution. And we also want to include insurance fees, even if they're referred to as voluntary, but nearly all clients or greater than 80% of clients opt to secure that insurance, then we would also include it here. So your typical credit life insurance is going to be included in this section. And let's say we have an upfront insurance. And the insurance section is organized the same as the fee section. Then for taxes, of course, taxes are not an income for the institution, but since APR is a client-facing measure, we want to calculate the APR from the client perspective. And from the client perspective, these taxes are included in the price of their loan. If there's a VAT or some other applicable tax that the client pays, you enter it in some different methodologies here. Then we have compulsory deposit. This refers to any type of mandatory savings or cash collateral that the client is required to be paying in order to keep his loan. There's also a note here about the types of compulsory deposit to include. And for compulsory deposit, we have, in terms of an upfront amount or prior to the loan, or an ongoing, continuing during the loan basis. And also for deposit, if the institution pays an interest to the client on those savings, that figure can be entered here. Let's say in this case we have a 10% upfront requirement and the institution pays 1% annual interest on those savings. Then we can go ahead in this cell and select yes, the pricing information is complete, and move on to step 2. In this step, we are defining samples. The tool defines a sample as a loan amount and loan term combination. Here we have different loan term ranges which are indicated, less than 3 months, 4 to 6 months, etc. And we want to enter the percentage of loans or percentage of portfolio that has a loan term at disbursement of this range. So in this case, let's say 50% are between 4 and 6 months, and 50% are between 10 and 12 months. And the same for loan amount. On this side, we have loan amount ranges which are indicated. And let's say that 30% are in this range, 20% are in this one, and the rest there. Once this is complete and you have 100% showing for both the term and the amount totals, scroll over to the right, and this is where we select the samples. There's a guidance note here about the optimal number of samples to choose. We would recommend just to select what that cell says. And there's a note here explaining how to choose the samples. We want to enter numbers in sequential order, starting with 1, until the number of samples indicated in this cell have been chosen, entering the numbers from the top left to the right bottom. And the color of the cells is corresponding to the importance of the sample for APR calculation, since the lighter shaded cells will represent a higher number of estimated loans with the amount and term combination. In this case, we have 6 samples which are shown, and it's also recommending 6. It's a relatively easy one. In this case, we'll just select, starting from the top left, 1, numbering like this. You may have cases where there are other shades between this darker color and the lighter color. There will be different shades of gray, and the idea is that the lighter shades are going to be more important to choose, so be sure to select the lighter shades before proceeding to the darker shades. After that's complete, it means we're done with step 2. We can select yes, we want to move on to step 3. So step 3, first time looking at it, it sure looks like a lot of information. And really all it's doing here is taking what you've entered in the first 2 steps on this sheet, and it's recommending an automatic generation of prices. What we need to do here is review the information to be sure that the prices we're going to calculate are representative of the product. And one way to do this is looking here in the defined samples that we have. And we've defined 6 different samples. And in this cell, it's showing the loan amount that's being used. What is the loan term? So for example, we could say, okay, well, we know for this product that this 3,800 loan size isn't offered in practice, and it tends to be from 5,000. So we could override that amount to enter 5,000. And now you see this column for what's being used is also updated. Then looking down into this lower part, this has a summary of each calculation which is going to be done. We have 6 samples that we selected, but 12 calculations showing up. And the reason for that is in one of the price components, which was the interest rate, we had a min and a max that were different, meaning that for the same sample, the tool wants to calculate 2 different variations, one with the min interest rate, one with the max interest rate, in order to factor in that variability. And you can see here for each sample we have also the loan amount for that, or for each calculation we have the loan amount, loan term. Here we have the grace period for that sample, the frequency. Here is the interest rate. We see that for the first calculation it's calculated at 25% and the second one at 20%. And also it shows the upfront fee, the ongoing fee, the other fee we entered. There's the insurance and the compulsory deposit information as well. And at any cell from this one over from the grace period over to the right can be edited if you'd like to factor in some additional complexity, or you feel that the tool was showing a type of sample that's not representative. Maybe just one example. If we see that, for example, let's say in this case, the interest rate varies based on the loan amount. We know that to be the case. Then in these cells up here, you see for repayment frequency, it's entered 111. That means that there's only one type of repayment frequency that we entered. Whereas for the interest, we have 2 entered. But if we know that the interest rate varies on the amount, so for example, for a particular loan amount, there's only one possible interest rate, then we could override this to enter 1. And what that does is it reduces the number of calculations. Now it's only 6, since we only need 1 variation for each sample. And then we could edit the interest rate here. So let's say we know for a loan of $5,000, 25% is the interest rate, also for this next loan amount. But when we get up to $20,000, it reduces down to 20%. So once you've had a review of what prices are going to be calculated and everything looks fine, then we go down here and we say, yes, our review is complete and we'd like to auto-generate the prices. A message pops up just to say that the calculation is going to start. And at this point, we can sit back and relax and let the APR tool do its work. This is the time to get some tea or coffee if you'd like. Although it is quite a quick macro that's running, that's quite efficient, and it will be done very shortly. Yeah, already done with the pricing calculation. Down in step 4 is where we see the results of the calculation. I'll just point out a few main areas to look at. Over here to the right, we have the min, max, and average full APR from the client perspective. There are graphs if you want to see the APRs in a visual way. APR compared to the loan amount, then APR compared to loan term. And just below those graphs, we have each of the calculations that we did, a lot of details about all the components we used and the incremental prices. Here is the main the main figure coming out, which is the full APR for each calculation shown there. And this is the APR from the institutional perspective, which is not including compulsory deposit, and depending on your selection on the setup page at the bottom, can either include fees or include insurance or not include insurance. But in all cases, even from the institutional perspective, it includes interest and fee. So that's it. Thanks a lot for going through the video, and thanks for your participation in the data platform. And in case you do have any questions that come up, we'd be happy to address them. Thanks.